Forever Skies, a first-person survival game set in a post-apocalyptic, ecologically ruined Earth, where you build, upgrade and fly a high-tech airship. Think of a game something like Subnautica, where instead of upgrading your craft so that you can submerge deeper, in this case you upgrade your airship so that you can fly higher. Now, I've been streaming Forever Skies for the last few weeks with the intention of creating some kind of a video, whether it was my own review or whether it was going to be like a little Let's Play series on the gameplay. But before I managed to get to that, I was on Twitter and I actually noticed they put up a post which was an announcement from the studio on the future of Forever Skies development. And whenever I see posts like this, you can almost guarantee that something hasn't gone quite right. So what has actually gone down and why aren't I making the video that I wanted to make? Well, apparently since the version 1 release of the game is now sitting at a 61% review score on Steam. And a message from the CEO, it's tough to see that the game didn't meet the expectation of the players since we poured our hearts into it, and it fell short in ways that matter. But good or bad, our intention has never been to walk away from Forever Skies, so we are sure not to go calling this good enough and just move on. We're here to do the work, make the game better, and show that we're listening. These days, it's clearer than ever that trust and admiration from players are what make a studio thrive in the long term. And to earn that, we need to make a good game and step up the things that need to be fixed. That's exactly what we intend to do. Andres Blumenfield. It's a fun name to try and say, but yes, the Far From Home CEO. So exactly what is the breakdown of the negative reviews? They provided a nice neat little chart, and the top issues are basically around the boring, tedious and repetitive gameplay, as well as a lot of technical issues and performance issues. There's a little bit probably on the fifth there, which is around the shallow story. I found the story was alright, but obviously not everybody did. But yes, to talk a little bit about those points, I didn't really run into any of the technical or performance issues. I've actually got a fairly decent rig. I'm sure that over time I may have actually encountered them as I got further into the game. However, in terms of the boring, tedious and repetitive gameplay, I can certainly understand that particular element. Now, the story itself provides, at least at the start, you have a fairly good narrative about how the world is in a really dark and dangerous place, and you're following in the footsteps of other people who were doing research on the cure that you're actually looking for. And so there's a little bit of a narrative that you can follow, and as the story unfolds, you move to various different new locations where you can find different resources, which will then allow you to progress your airship, and then so on and so forth, keep moving forward. However, you're never really provided with enough resources, and so as a result you will need to then go to other areas of the current area of the map and just grind away at these various locations, pick up a bunch of items in a place that you've already seen before, fly off, go to the next spot, pick up a bunch of resources from another place that you've already seen before, because they're just essentially, they're not copy and paste, but each of the various different places that you land, you've got the communication towers, you've got wind farms and so on and so forth. There are slight variations, but at the end of the day, you're going and visiting half a dozen communication towers, you're going and visiting half a dozen wind farms, just so that you can get the resources that you believe you need to be able to keep your ship going before you then move to the next area where you're going to unlock another one. So you might get the greenhouse tower. I can't remember what they were actually calling it, I'd have to look up the name again, but you then need to visit multiples of those so that you can actually get the food and the seeds and the planters that you would want to be able to then grow. Especially if you want to do a big build on your ship, you're going to need quite a lot of stuff. And as a result, you're going to these places and just constantly grabbing resources, pop them onto your airship, float away, fly off to the next one, explore it out, grab all the stuff, and then go back to ship. But it's not adding anything new to the gameplay experience, you're just grinding. Now, as a person who plays survival games quite a lot, especially with the Ark, the Atlas, and the various other games that I have on my channel that you can go and have a look at all the history that I've actually done, I'm no stranger to the grind, and I'm personally able to look beyond it and actually follow the story and try and feel what the studio was actually trying to put into the game. And I really enjoyed the beta experience of Forever Skies. I could always see where the future went, and they put some combat mechanics which I never got to explore, or at least I'm yet to explore, because I will still continue playing Forever Skies and find out where they took the game, albeit it looks that the game is probably going to go through quite a lot more iterations of development. The question will be, is now that the game is released, are they getting the funds, and will they be able to put the time in to change the game significantly enough to flip the head on that review score? Now, I personally would rate the game, but obviously if you're not into a grind, then you're not really going to want to actually do such a thing. But here we are doing a video on the unfortunate negativity that surrounds Forever Skies and what people are finding to be a poor performing game with tedious and repetitive gameplay elements. Albeit that I do still enjoy the game, and I will continue to stream. I will hopefully do create that mini-series, or maybe I'll just play the whole thing, cherry pick some of the really good stuff, and provide my own review. The hassle will be, depending on how much they change the game and how significant they change the gameplay experience, I may need to hold off and wait and see where they go with all of that in the long run. And yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. We should probably have a little bit of a chat. How would you resolve the repetitive nature of games? And have you seen any other games which had those repetitive elements? And what would you have done to resolve those problems? I personally don't know what they could really do here, other than to include places where you could go as a part of the gameplay. So instead of me having to go out of my way by myself to find those places to get the extra resources, either make the resources more abundant or make it part of the story that you need to actually go to those spots. And that could probably help with the short and shallow stories that flesh out the lore and the game world to really bring it alive and more vibrant. Because I mean, yeah, this is, as I said, it was kind of like more your Subnautica style thing, where you're following in the footsteps of people prior to you. You're learning the story about where they've been and why they did it as you search for a cure, albeit that this is in the skies rather than in the water. Anyway, it's a short video. I won't go rambling on it too much more, other than to say yes, I'm still here doing videos, having fun doing them. It's just that they're far and few in between. I have another video coming up soon on a demo. Some people reached out to me about the release of a zombie survival game, so I'm looking forward to putting that one together, and hopefully it won't be too much longer, at least in the next week. And yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.